With the entertainment industry, we have what's called that we train people not only to be able to have the right contacts. We get people in the right rooms with the right people where they can just snap their fingers and change their life in 30 seconds or less. We do production assistant training. So production assistant training is where you get to work behind the scenes. So you're helping with the cameras, the setup, the breakdown, and so forth. So I've seen a lot of people go through that training and program to leverage themselves getting on set. One of our when we first launched the program in beta, being behind, the woman completed the certification program. From there, she got herself on a couple of sets in a local market, actually out in Las Vegas. And then from there, she made friends with the casting director. She was, showing up on time. She was helping cleaning up. She was whatever was needed. There was no questions asked. She saw the director needed water. Water was waiting, and so forth. Being there on set and being the person who they knew your name, they remembered her, they knew she was aspiring to be in this industry, that led to an opportunity that would eventually land her an NFL Super Bowl commercial. It would land her a ad on a billboard in Times Square for AT&T and T, and a national Starbucks commercial, all because she was in the right room with the right people. She was actually was a retired church secretary. She was 61 years old, and she was making $35,000 a year at that point in her life when she came into our organization and became one of our students. She now earns on average $35,000 a day, and her biggest ad was for the Super Bowl ad was $100,000. So she actually earned $100,000 in one day. She used to only own, and she never did this before. She went from $35,000 a year to $100,000 in a day. Never doing this before, because even though she didn't have experience, she went through the training and she was going through all that. But just like any other training, it takes time and dedication. But getting herself just in the room and just bringing value, something as simple as bringing water, having that smile, being on time, being professional, that led to people knowing her name, the right people knowing her name, right? You know, the wrong people knowing your name. It's having the right people. I tell people all the time, if you're taking classes or you're investing money into this business, if the people you're working with are not getting you on set and not getting you bookings and jobs, you're working with the wrong person. And that happens all the time in this industry. There's just such a red ocean out there of, like, failed actors, and somebody was an assistant casting director 10 years ago. Now all of a sudden they're training people how to, like, audition. There's no such thing as training for audition. Like, when you think about this, there's like 1,000 projects going on with 1,000 casting directors. There's no set standard. Each one of them is has their own standard of what they're looking for. And the first step is they turn to people they know. Right? Think about it. You want to get a job done, you're going to turn to somebody you know. And if somebody you know, an agency or one of your agent friends doesn't have somebody, then you're going to go to the next step. Who's like the most qualified person that I may personally know? And then finally, if you still can't find somebody from a pool, then you'll start the audition process. So many times people are auditioning, they're showing up with 500, 1,000 people. Probably most likely the person who's going to get hired is somebody the casting director already knows their name. It's like when you're going that long route process of trying to win a lottery ticket. And I don't know about you, but winning a lottery ticket is pretty hard. There's the nice belief there. You want, I'm gonna go get my numbers.
Right.
You get excited, you put your dollar down, and you're watching those numbers. And right up until the moment you don't win, you really believe you could win. But you can do that over and over again, a million times, 10 million times. You're not gonna win. Like, it just doesn't make sense from an odds standpoint when going out, investing in a business, investing in your career, being in the right rooms, having the people who know your name. That's how you get ahead with this.
Definitely. I couldn't agree any more on that. It kind of makes me think of one of the life lessons that I learned coming out of college, going for my first job, was basically the idea that, like, they say your network is your net worth, but to give it a simple application, it's like if you go and have coffee with somebody who works at, like, the bank that I wanted to go work at, for example, that gave me the ability to then get a referral to get the job and things of that nature rather than just trying to be one of 1,000 applications in the
Mhm.
process. And I think, if I'm understanding correctly, that's a similar concept as to how it works in your world.
100%. And it's also having a magnetic personality. It's being able to walk into the room with confidence, right? Being able to, being prepared, right? It's being on time, being prepared, and being able to bring great ideas, right? Like if you're given a script to understand, or you're a model and you're going to be working for, walking or working with a designer or a client, whether it's a consumer product, whatever it may be, before you even show up for that shoot, that audition, you should know everything there is to know about that designer, their clothing, their brand, where they went to school, how they got into the business, like whatever it is you could know. Like I tell people all the time with casting directors, when get to know casting director, follow them on Instagram. Like, be a little bit of a stalker, right? Follow them on Instagram. Go on IMDb, see, which is the Internet Movie Database, great resource. Like, see what other productions they've worked on. Follow their trail. And so many times I'll learn something about somebody. I'll see, they were on, they went to Disney with their kids last week, or they were involved in a certain charity. I had the opportunity, the very first time I met Sigourney Weaver. Um, Everyone, we had won a Tony Award for one of my productions I invested in on Broadway, and we were having dinner with Sigourney Weaver, and I had never met her before. And it was kind of like, it was right after the Tonys. We were having this after party, and there were like a few people there. They were kind of excited to meet her. And of course, they're going up to her and they're talking to her about Avatar. They're talking to her about like the Alien movie, right? She's known from the Alien movie. She's had this a long, illustrious career, but people always associate her with the Alien movie. The movie was in 1977. Like that's like a character she played. But when I had known from her, I known that she was involved in charities. One charity that was her charity was to help underprivileged children be able to attend Broadway shows. So the moment I went up to her, the first thing I said, "Hey, congratulations on tonight. It was such an honor to be able to have the chance to work with you as an investor in the show. But I just wanted to let you know what really impacted me about you, Sigourney, was the charity work that you do for kids. That really meant so much to me." She literally went from kind of being a little standoffish to this big smile on her face. She took my hand, and next thing you know, the next 2.5 hours, we're talking about life, the show, and so forth, because I spoken to her. Listen. So, if somebody's listening to this and you're brand new to the industry, there's no excuse not to be able to go in and command the room. Having the confidence, being there on time, doing the research, right? Confidence is about practice. It's about research. The more information you have, the more knowledge you have, the more confident you're going to be. So there's so many things you can do beyond, like, think about this. How many great actors are there that have won Academy Awards, but they're not the best actor in the world? Like they got talent, but they're not the most talented person in the world, but yet they're running circles around somebody with the most amazing talent. Right? How many singers are out there that are just, sing to be unbelievable, but no one's never heard them because they've never left the nest. They've never went out there and got into the right rooms. Like, it's a tragedy for people who do have talent, to have so much talent, but because they're not in front of the right people, they don't have the confidence, that no one's showing them like a little bit of a framework of how to just get in front of the right people all the time. That's what we do. That's what we bring to the table. Been doing it for 18 years, but it always frustrates me when I meet somebody, who's brand new and they're living in fear, they're living in doubt and so forth. And honestly, we just tell them we really can't help them, right? Until there's there's not a lot I can do. And it kind of breaks my heart sometimes, but at the end of the day, I can only help the people who are swimming towards us, the people who raise their hand and say, "Hey, I really want to do this." And whether it's an entrepreneur, model, actor, it's all the same thing. I'm sure, obviously, you interview so many amazing people. Their client base and the people they help, they can only serve the people who want the help. The people who are swimming away, there's not much. They're floundering in the water. I can't save the world. And that was a big, big breakthrough for me, because, Billy, I was the guy who would jump in the water to try and save you. Now I can only save the people who swim towards us.
If you want to save time on watching all the episodes, but still get all the gold nuggets that we find from interviewing these 7, 8, and 9 figure entrepreneurs, then you can get all of that inside of the 2 Comma Club newsletter. Just go to 2ccnewsletter.com and subscribe.